football fans, and welcome to Tim Reynolds Show's Friday Football Talk here on March 7th, 2025. Hope y'all are having a great start to your weekend. It is Football Friday here on Tim Reynolds Show, so we're going to talk a little ball with you guys. Hope you guys want to hang out and get in the chat. Maybe you guys leave some comments and some questions on what you guys want to know about your favorite NFL team as we go over all the big major news and topics happening right now in the NFL, and maybe even some other football news too for you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out here on the channel. Please make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That is Tim Reynolds Show. Let's fucking go. All right, guys, so we'll start with our first major topic here. A big number NFL players are being released right now from NFL franchises, including one of the latest that we've seen here from the Tennessee Titans, as they have released pass rusher Harold Landry III. And this guy's definitely been putting up big numbers for the Titans last year in the NFL. I mean, the guy is definitely one of their best defensive players, so this is a little bit shocking for the Tennessee Titans to actually go out and release this man who's been one of the better, I should say, one of the best defensive players for the Tennessee Titans here going forward. And how about the Washington Commanders? They released Jonathan Allen, their eight-time guy who's been there for 8 years. They cut Allen, I guess, to save $16 million against the cap. That should be a good amount of cap room for the Commanders, but they already had a lot of cap room to begin with earlier, so this is kind of surprising when you think about it. And how about the Cincinnati Bengals? They have signed tight end Tyler Hudson to a one-year contract extension that signs him through 2025. So that should be a good signing for the Cincinnati Bengals, who've done a lot so far here in this early portion before we get to the actual offseason, or I should say NFL free agency. But thanks for hanging out here, guys. Cheers to y'all. Woo, there we go. Here to snap. Let's go. It's Friday, baby. There we go, there we go. Anthony, what's going on, brother? All right, we also see the Miami Dolphins have informed linebacker Quentin Bell that they will not be tendering him, which will make him a free agent. And how about the big news coming out of Detroit? As we see, the Lions have signed linebacker Derek Barnes to a 3-year contract extension worth $25.5 million, with $16 million fully guaranteed at the signing of this contract. So definitely should be a good move for the Detroit Lions defense. We'll just have to see what happens going forward. Yo, what's going on, chat? Popping off. Shout out to Malik. What's up, Basics? And Corey, what's going on, brother? Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Guys, if you have any questions about NFL or anything to do with football, please hit me up in the comments and let me know what you guys think. And guys, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Tim Reynolds Show. And also, guys, some of the big news that headed out this past weekend. How about DK Metcalf, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, requesting a trade literally moments after they released veteran wide receiver Tyler Lockett, who is second in the franchise history in receiving yards. A big surprise release for me. I really thought Tyler Lockett was more of a glue guy there for the Cincinnati Bengals offense. And yep, Corey, we remember you, man. Thanks for hanging out, brother. And I really do think that was a mistake by the Seahawks. I mean, you got to keep a guy like Lockett. He's a good locker room guy. He definitely goes out and performs very well every single week. I think him trying to get some rapport with Geno Smith in that offense has been a struggle for him over the last few years, but definitely one of those guys I would have kept in the locker room just based on having that veteran presence in that wide receiver room. But now they're going to be without their two top wide receivers is what it looks like, because I just don't see DK Metcalf playing on the Seattle Seahawks next season, especially with the fact that there's a lot of NFL teams right now that could use Metcalf's services. So, heck yeah, man. I do not play Fortnite, though. Basics, though. Thanks for asking. And Corey, yeah, there is a few different WWE matches happening tonight. So we're definitely going to be going live later on Tim Reynolds Show for my WWE live play-by-play for Friday Night SmackDown. And hey, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Cody Rhodes and how he responds off of what happened at Elimination Chamber. But guys, please make sure you check out my WWE show review on Tim Reynolds Show for WWE Elimination Chamber. Just got that posted for you guys a little bit ago, so make sure you check that out and hit me up in the comments and hit that like button so I know you checked it out. Anthony in the chat says, Devontae getting released. My team should try to go get him real cheap. Hey, look, Anthony, there's going to be a lot of teams going after wide receiver Davante Adams, and they'll probably get him for a cheaper price than they would have gotten if they traded for him from the Jets. And speaking of Davante Adams adds to the list of NFL players being released by NFL teams this past week, as we see Davante Adams was released from the New York Jets, and that move's going to save them a little over $36 million in cap room. We also see Joey Bosa got released from the Los Angeles Chargers in a move that's going to save them a lot of money in cap space as we head into the 2025 NFL offseason. And we also see Evan Ingram, the fantastic playmaking tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is also set to be released from Jacksonville. And man, he went on Twitter to go ahead and or on X, I should say, to let everybody know that he's got all love for the Jacksonville Jaguars fans, but that franchise let go of a dog. And I cannot wait to see what team really goes out and signs tight end Evan Ingram to their squad. And we also see Tyler Lockett, like we mentioned before, has been released from the Seattle Seahawks. Darius Slay and James Bradbury were both released by the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. A surprising move, if you ask me. I mean, maybe not with James Bradbury. He was out most of the year with an injury, so he didn't get to play for them. But Darius Slay played pretty good down the stretch, but I guess it may be just his age and his contract on why they decided to let him go. Excuse me, guys. And then we also see Gardner Minshew, quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, has been released as well. Jamal Williams, standout running back for the Detroit Lions a few years ago. He's played with the New Orleans Saints the last few years, but they haven't really used him the right way, so he's been released from his contract. We also see Devin Duvernay has been released from the Jacksonville Jaguars. DeMonte Jones and Roy Robertson Harris have been released from the Seattle Seahawks. Also, Rashawn Jenkins and George Fant were also released from the Seattle Seahawks as well. So a lot of players being put into NFL free agency by NFL teams who just don't want to re-sign them. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens going forward with all of those financial terms and agreements here. Like we see with the Evan Ingram situation. They released him, which saves almost $6 million in cap room for them, but gives them a dead money charge of about $13.5 million on that contract. And they just signed tight end Evan Ingram to that contract last offseason. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Anthony in the chat says, my team re-signed our complete start players, captain of our defense. I just hope he shows out and isn't injured half of the season like last year. Yeah, man. Good luck to your team. By the way, Anthony, who is your team? And Corey, thank you for checking out my WWE show review on my YouTube channel, Tim Reynolds Show. Appreciate you guys on doing that. And everybody, please make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Oh, the Raiders. Hell yeah. You know what? As a matter of fact, we'll get to the big Raider news for you, man. How about Maxx Crosby signing that huge contract extension with the Las Vegas Raiders? I was a little surprised to actually see that happen, but very deserving. I mean, Maxx Crosby deserves all the money that they're going to get him in that contract extension. And man, he now makes NFL history with a 3-year contract worth $106.5 million. $91.5 million is guaranteed. And this now makes Maxx Crosby the highest non-quarterback paid in the NFL today. And man, he definitely deserves it. And the Raiders are making some pretty decent moves right now too, including re-signing their biggest player on defense. We got DJ the Mind in the chat. What's going on, brother? What do you think about Thuney to the Bears? Oh, man. This is a big move from Chicago. I have got to give the Chicago Bears a lot of credit. The moves they've been able to make early on in this 2025 NFL offseason have been impressive. As you see, they did trade a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Chiefs for Joe Thuney, who's been an all-pro guard at that position for years now. I'm actually pretty shocked that Kansas City let him go, especially after the way that offensive line could not protect Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Very interesting to see what happens going forward with the Kansas City Chiefs and their offensive line. But the Bears also were able to acquire starting center Noah Jackson from the Rams for a 2025 sixth-round pick. So when you think about it, these two trades are very, very good from the general manager of the Bears and should definitely improve that Bears offensive line. But I got to say thank you for in the chat for the question there. I really appreciate you guys hanging out here on Tim Reynolds Show. Please make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. All right, we're here with some Friday football talk, so I want to try to make sure I get all the questions answered in the chat, so appreciate you guys. All right, so going to the chat here, guys. I want to go back and say thank you, DJ The Mind, for your question. Appreciate that. Defensive D says the Eagles on top. Hell yeah. The Raiders better draft a quarterback. I think you're definitely going to see the Raiders look to draft a quarterback in this one. I really do think so. What's up, Detroit? Thank you for hanging out in the chat. Anthony wants to know, what do you think of a football standpoint where we should roll with the third-year quarterback Aiden O'Connell or go to free agency? Nah, you see, if it's up to me, if I'm a Raiders fan, what I want them to draft a quarterback. Why? You got Pete Carroll now as the head coach. Even though maybe the Raiders are in win-now mode, I would honestly say you're better off drafting a quarterback, but Anthony, you also could sign another veteran quarterback and still draft a quarterback, or maybe just go with Aiden O'Connell as your veteran guy right now. You bring in the rookie. Right now, you give them both the chance to compete for the starting job, and that's probably the way I would go if I was a Raiders fan. Aussie guy, what's going on, man? Hell yeah, we're doing some football talk here. What's going on? Zapped in the chat, Zap916, what's going on, man? Says the Niners have 11 picks in this draft. Should they trade for Myles Garrett? Man, look, I think that would be a great trade for the Niners. I just don't see it happening. You're going to have to give Myles Garrett a new contract once you trade for him. At least I would assume so. And because of that, I don't think the Niners are going to be in contention as one of those teams looking to trade for defensive end Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. I really do think that there's going to be a lot of other middle-of-the-pack teams that maybe could be competitive next year that give up decent enough offers for him. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with that, but we'll have to wait and see, though. But thank you for the question there. We got Jamie in the chat. Shout out. What's going on? Russ Locked and DK in Vegas. Hell yeah, man. Should be interesting to see what happens there. Russ Lockett and DK in Vegas. Oh, okay. I'm not sure about that one, man, to be honest with you, though. Oh, and dude, what's going on, Detroit? I do think that Christian McCaffrey could definitely be traded from the 49ers. That could definitely be a possibility. Yeah, the 49ers have definitely turned into kind of ass. They have not been that great, man. We got 6th pick, and I really don't want Sanders here in Vegas. His last name will demand a lot. And if there's anything that we could take, Cam Ward. Nah, sorry, Anthony. Cam Ward's going to be gone before they get to the Raiders at 6. I can guarantee you that. But I don't like this, though, because, you know, Anthony, you're saying exactly what I think a lot of people are saying is because his last name is Sanders, that he's going to come with a lot of baggage and all this other crap. I think all that is just BS, dude, because when you're a quarterback, you have got to be professional and you have got to be really dedicated to what it is, your craft, to what it is you're trying to do with your franchise. And right now, the Raiders have not had, like, Derek Carr was not the guy. I hate to break it to Raiders fans, but he really wasn't. And the fact that there's Raider fans out there, like my boy Anthony here, that says Shedeur Sanders' name is too big, he brings too much. Hey, the Raiders need attention. The Raiders need money. And Sanders, as their starting quarterback, brings them that. So I really do think that anyone that thinks the Raiders shouldn't draft Sanders, you're not a true Raiders fan. Because if you want the Raiders to go to the next level, if you want the Raiders to be contenders, you're not going to find it with a veteran quarterback that probably is near the end of his career right now, which is what you're looking at in free agency right now. Like, Sam Darnold going to the Raiders? Hell no, I wouldn't want that if I was a Raiders fan. Are you kidding me? Like, nah. Anthony, you want Shedeur Sanders. I guarantee you want Shedeur Sanders, okay? And you're not going to get Cam Ward. The only way any team's going to get up to get Cam Ward, they're going to have to trade with the Tennessee Titans, because I guarantee you, at the number 2 pick, Cleveland Browns are drafting a quarterback, and I don't believe it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I think it's going to be Cam Ward. They're going to take the number 1 overall quarterback in this draft, the Browns will, so... Oh, Detroit says J.J. McCarthy? I don't know, man. I mean, he hasn't got a chance to play yet, so I don't think I'd put him on the trading block just yet. Jamie says Debo is cooked. Yeah, he got traded to the Washington Commanders for a 5th-round pick. I definitely think that was a good trade for the Commanders. And when you have him and Terry McLaurin on the same offense, man, that could be a very explosive NFL offense. And Zap, you see, the Niners, I wouldn't call them trash. They had a bunch of injuries and stuff like that, right? But you have to admit, as a Niners fan, they were very disappointing this season. I mean, there was a lot of guys that didn't show up to play when they did. I mean, that whole situation where linebacker Campbell just didn't play and walked out on the team, like, to me, that doesn't happen if you have the right culture of winning in your organization. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they need to get rid of the general manager. I love general manager John Lynch, and I also love the head coach. But I really do think that the guys in that locker room were more worried about getting their money than they were about winning a Super Bowl title. I mean, how many teams make it to the Super Bowl twice in like a 6-year period? Or I think it might even been a 5-year period. And you don't win. Like, I mean, maybe Buffalo Bills fans know what I'm talking about. But, man, that's why the Niners were just, to me, very disappointing last year. I think you could actually put them up at the top as maybe one of the most disappointing teams in the 2024 NFL season. So, good luck to the Niners, though, this offseason. I expect the Niners to make a lot of moves coming up in this offseason. So, we'll see what they're able to do to improve their squad. And you know, General Manager John Lynch is going to be looking to improve that team right away. All right. Jeremiah Smith to the Lions says Detroit Chaos. Hey, man, Jeremiah Smith going to any NFL franchise is going to be very big for any NFL team and NFL fans. Anthony says, oh, I know he was broke his leg in 2016, 2017, and through in 2022. He's been completely scared. All right, Anthony, I'm not sure who you're talking about there, but thank you. We got Sursky in the chat. What's going on, brother? He says, do you think the Panthers have playoff hopes for next season? I think it's too early to tell for your Panthers right now, man. Thanks for hanging out in the chat, though. Appreciate you. But I honestly think that they're going to have a lot of needs that they need to make in this offseason for them to be able to be playoff contenders next year. Right now, the NFC South maybe not be the most, competitive division right now, especially in the NFC. But if you ask me, the Panthers are not just like 1 or 2 guys away from being a playoff team. Like, they need to revamp completely that whole defense. They've already done a lot with the offensive line, but their running game has been terrible. So if I'm the Panthers, I'm probably looking for a free agent running back or maybe at one of these top running backs right now in the NFL draft. Although the running back depth right now in the NFL draft is not what you would want it to be if you're a Carolina Panthers fan. So you're right. Yes, sir, Panthers fan. You're going to need defense in this free agency period if you want any chance at getting in the playoffs next year. Zap says, sounds about right. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Falcons are better since Kieran Lee. Oh, man, if the Falcons were better, why didn't they win the NFC South then? All those playmakers. all of those guys they had on defense and offense and still couldn't do nothing. Sorry. Anthony says, I'm talking about Derek Carr. Yeah, man, look, Anthony, that's in the past, brother. Right now, Derek Carr is trying to keep his job with the New Orleans Saints. So if I was you as a Raiders fan, let's start looking towards the future, man. Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback you want if you're a Raiders fan. Jamie says, we scammed the Titans once. We could do it again. Ooh, damn, man. That would be one hell of a trade to see the Tennessee Titans trade out of that number 1 overall pick with somebody looking for a quarterback. That's going to be pretty interesting. Corey, shout out to you, man. Thank you for showing some love on the videos. Appreciate you, dude. Leo in the chat says, I wish we cut Dak Prescott 7 years ago. I hope we get, Metcalf with the pair of CD, though. Hey, Leo, the Dallas Cowboys have a lot of moves they need to make this offseason, man. I'm telling you what. I like the fact they re-signed that big defensive tackle. He's a good run stopper. Osa, I believe his name is. But how do you sign anybody before you sign Micah Parsons? Like, what is Dallas thinking right now? You need to sign Micah Parsons right now. Why? Because he's going to be cheaper now than later. They made this mistake with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Like, why do you wait so long to pay these guys and end up having to pay them 10, 15, maybe even $20 million more than what you would have if you signed them early? So I really do think these NFL general managers and owners, they need to get their head out of their ass. Like, honest to God, dude. Like, it's even getting to the point where you hear the Jets owner was actually asking his sons who play Madden on what he should do with his NFL team. Like, even that to me seems more plausible than what the hell these general managers are doing. I understand that you guys have a cap space. You guys only have so much money that you could spend on these players. That's all bullshit, man. You can work these contracts whichever way you want if you're an NFL franchise to benefit you better, whether it's now or down the road. Me as a Bucs fan, we're seeing it right now. We've had so many guys that we've had to re-sign that deserve contract extensions like Mike Evans, like quarterback Baker Mayfield, like defensive tackle Vita Vea, who we've re-signed over the last few years. But because of that huge Tom Brady contract, we're now in pretty much cap purgatory near the bottom 5, or I should say bottom 10 right now in cap room. But somehow, some way, what have the Bucs been able to do? Oh, just win the NFC South in back-to-back fucking seasons? Like, guys, there's a way to be competitive and be a good NFL team and be able to manage the cap situation a whole lot better than these freaking general managers have been doing lately. And I tell you what, I think a lot of Madden fans or a lot of people good at the game of Madden could probably be better general managers than half the fucking league right now, to be honest with you guys. So, Zap, come on, man. The Buccaneers are good. The Buccaneers are good. Come on. Much respect to your team last few years. They've known, been doing the quarterback, the GOAT, and got championship, bringing in Baker and been cooking. You're right, Anthony. I think it's very impressive what the Bucs have been able to do, especially with the fact that Tom Brady leaves, Rob Gronkowski leaves. You had the drama with Antonio Brown. You had the head coach switched over from Arians over to Todd Bowles, and I think Bowles has done an excellent job. I think that people calling for his job are just stupid and don't properly look at what exactly has been going on. I think the culture for Tampa Bay has definitely changed. I think we got a winning culture there in Tampa Bay, and I'm excited to see what the Bucs do in the offseason here. And hey, actually, guys, some big offseason news for the Bucs. Safety Whitehead will no longer be a part of the team. We're letting him go. We're not picking up his option on his contract, and I'm hearing reports that wide receiver Chris Godwin and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are very close on a contract extension, and man, that's the guy we need in Tampa Bay is Chris Godwin. Zap 916. How can you say the Bucs suck with no winning culture when we've won the NFC South 3 straight years, been to the playoffs 3 straight years, and we also almost beat the Commanders this year and almost beat the Detroit Lions in the divisional round last year? If you ask me, I don't think that's a sucky team. Your 49ers not being able to win in the Super Bowl is probably more of a suckier thing than anything else because, brother, I hate to break it to you, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of the few teams in NFL history undefeated in the Super Bowl. Oh, and we also average a margin of victory over 30 points in the Super Bowl. Thank you very much. That's my sucky Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Holla! All right, guys, let's get to some more comments going on here. What's up, Obani1237? Thanks for hanging out, man. Yeah, the Bucs fans are having a little bit of rough times right now. Just hoping we get Chris Godwin re-signed. You know what I mean? That's definitely going to be one of the big deals here. One of the big moves for the Bucs in the offseason. So you're not wearing... What's going on, Big Blob? Rex, Cooper DeJean is going to be a stud. Dude, hell yeah. Cooper DeJean is already a stud, dude. Anthony, true question. Real champions bounce back from, will the Chiefs do the same? Hey, you know, it's really tough to say right now. I got to see what the Chiefs do in the rest of the offseason before I'm willing to say, like, they're not going to be good next year. I mean, as long as you got Patrick Mahomes, man, you got a chance to win in this league. So I wouldn't worry about the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Zap, we made it to the Super Bowl too. We beat the Kansas City Chiefs with Tom Brady. Hello. Isn't it better to make the Super Bowl and win than lose? Come on. Come on. David Cool, what's going on, chat? Thanks for hanging out, brother. Jamie, shout out to you in the chat saying, fuck the Niners. Man, I would love A.J. Brown, says Jamie. Yeah, dude, listen, there's been a lot of rumors, Jamie, that A.J. Brown could be traded from the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not seeing that, but you never know. I'm a Browns fan. What do you think they should do with the second pick? Now, David, cool, good question for you, man. Thanks for hanging out in the chat, guys. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Tim Reynolds Show. And David, the Browns, absolutely, you can bet money on this. They should, and I think they will, draft a quarterback with the second overall pick. Why? They have way too little cap room right now, and drafting a young quarterback is the only way I think they're going to be able to keep their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, because if he's got to go through what happened last year again this year, Kevin Stefanski's not going to be your head coach anymore. I really think that he's going to end up leaving and be hired or even traded for another NFL franchise looking for a legitimate NFL head coach. You know what I'm saying? Sonia, shout out to you. What's up, Mr. Elephant? Thank you, man. He says Baker or Tom. Well, you know I got to go with Tom, but I'm loving what Baker's doing right now. But appreciate the question in the chat, man. And we see here, hello, fellow Buccaneer fans. What's going on? Cormac Haley, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Shout out to you, man. And Albani1237, Bucks fan also. Best move we should do besides signing Chris Godwin would be to get Myles Garrett. That would be one hell of a trade for general manager Jason Light if he's able to pull that off. So, Zap, you win your division by default. Hey, we can't control, man, how bad the division is. You know what I'm saying? Plus, hey, look, the 49ers have not had very much competition in that division either. The Rams weren't what they used to be. The Cardinals have sucked for a long time. So, hey, maybe think about your own division first, brother. But, hey, listen, Niners are one of the best franchises in the NFL. I have a lot of respect for the San Francisco 49ers. A Tampa Bay Buccaneer legend, John Lynch, is running the show over there for the 49ers. So, I actually like rooting for him for a little bit. I just can't wait to see what that contract number ends up being for quarterback Brock Purdy. I really do think that's going to be a big priority for the 49ers heading into this offseason, especially with the cap room that they got. Yeah, and Zap, that was the sad thing, man. The 49ers team was all injured, just pretty much wiped out last season with injuries, and that's just sad to see. When you know a team can be competitive, but injuries sort of knock them out, that's just a sad thing to see in the NFL. Yeah, you're right. CMC being injured definitely didn't help out the 49ers' chances at all. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. But thank you, guys. Oh, thank you, RedX EJ. Mike Evans will break Jerry Rice's record. I also subbed. Hell yeah, thanks for the sub, man. And yes, dude, Mike Evans, this upcoming season, has a chance to put himself in the history books once again. If he's able to get another 1,000-yard receiving season, he will have the most 1,000-yard receiving seasons ever by an NFL wide receiver, passing the GOAT, Jerry Rice, and I cannot wait to see that, man. So appreciate you guys in the chat. Don't forget, guys, to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. All right. So got some more questions popping off. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Both organizations saw Antonio Brown. Oh, yeah. Listen, Anthony, I am not going to get into Antonio Brown. I do not want to talk about that guy. That's for sure. Mr. Elephant, though, wants to know Packers or Chiefs for the Super Bowl. Man, both teams should definitely be contenders next year. Still waiting to see what happens, though, with the offseason moves with the Packers and the Chiefs, especially the Chiefs. Like, you got to get that offensive line really worked out if you're the Chiefs, because they once again, and this happened when they faced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they tried to sort of patch their offensive line together with a few guys that, unfortunately, once they're injured and out, there's not much you can do about trying to protect your quarterback with a bunch of injuries along the offensive line, right? But I really do think that the Chiefs need to focus very hard, whether it's in free agency or the draft, on getting good quality depth at the offensive line position. So we'll see what the Chiefs are able to do. As far as the Packers, they're young. They got a lot of young players, and they may only be like one or two big-name free agents away from being legitimate Super Bowl contenders. So I think I would lean to the Chiefs for the Super Bowl over the Packers, but it's pretty even for me as far as who can make it to the Super Bowl next year. So thank you for your question, though, Mr. Elephant. Appreciate it. We see EJ wants to know, will the Seahawks be better next year? This is really interesting to me, EJ. I think the Seahawks could be better next year, but they've released a lot of guys. Right now, they don't really have anybody at wide receiver, especially with DK looking to be traded from Seattle. So they're going to have to address that really big in free agency, and there is a lot of big-name free agent wide receivers right now on the market heading into free agency. The Seattle Seahawks are definitely going to be one of those teams who are looking to pay to get some wide receiver help. But the defense, to me, is what's got to stay consistent, right? If Seattle's defense can play close to what they did last year, that's going to help them be contenders next year. But be better, I mean, man, they had 10 wins this past year. Let's not forget that. Even though they missed the playoffs, they had 10 wins. So I don't know if you can get much better than that if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan. But we'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's go to our next question here. They're going to be regret signing Brock Purdy, who needs a QB without much talent. Yeah, I don't know, Jamie. I don't think I would regret signing Brock Purdy. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league for a long time. So, hell yeah. Thank you, Motown Mitch. What's going on? Welcome back to the chat. We haven't seen you in a while, man. A Tim Reynolds Show regular, Motown Mitch in the chat. What's up? Lions rule, Bears drool. If you don't get any better than Tim Reynolds Show, hell yeah. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And I like what you're saying there, EJ. The Seattle defense should get a little bit better, especially if Kenneth Walker can stay healthy for that offense. I really do think that Seattle could have like a top 5, top 10 running attack next season, because Walker's that guy, that's for sure. And, Mr. Elephant thinks the Chiefs need a new tight end. They might want to start thinking about which tight end they want to take the place of Travis Kelce when he retires. So, not a bad idea if you are a Chiefs fan. Packers won't make the Super Bowl because they can't get by the Lions. Hell yeah, you never know, man. But the Lions got their ass whooped, though, against the Commanders. That was ridiculous. What's up, Corey? And Caden, what's going on, brother? You said, where do you think Kirk Cousins will end up? If you ask me, I think Cleveland is the place he should go. Because if the Falcons release him, he'll work well with Kevin Stefanski, and I think he could do something in that offense. But other than that, I don't really know. Now, Tennessee is not that far away from Atlanta, so maybe the Tennessee Titans might consider Kirk Cousins coming over to their team. But as of right now, the Falcons aren't planning to release him. So unless the team is willing to trade for Kirk Cousins, I'm just not sure where Kirk's going to end up. You know what I mean? So that's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Yeah, Jamie, I guess I agree with you there. Is it going to be too much that they pay quarterback Brock Purdy for the 49ers? I mean, look, man, when it's your time to get paid as an NFL player, I think all of you guys in the chat could agree with this. When you're an NFL player, you want your money as high as you can get it. You want to get the best offer you can get no matter what team it is. Why? Because at the end of the day, you as one individual player in the NFL don't have any control over whether or not your team makes it to the Super Bowl, on whether or not your team can actually win a championship. In the sport of the NFL, you need to be able to get your money when you can get it, because you never know if you're going to be able to get a second or third contract extension and be able to get the money that you think you're owed. That's why I think personally Sam Darnold, he needs to go get his money, dude. I know you might end up on a crappy team, but go get your money, because Sam, before last season, you were probably out of the league, dog. There was probably not going to be anybody who was willing to sign Sam Darnold and make them their starting quarterback. So, if you're Sam Darnold, go get your money. If you're these NFL players, go get your money, man. That's what you really ought to do. Shout out to Galonzo Rodriguez in the chat. Says, long live San Francisco 49ers. I love diehard fans in the chat, dude. Your thoughts on the Eagles, says SM Utera. TJ, we'll just call you TJ. What's going on? Welcome to the chat, man. Eagles, man. Fuck, dude. Howie Roseman is a beast, bro. The general manager for the Philadelphia Eagles making moves out the fucking wazoo. I know I'm cussing on here, but guys, I mean, it was crazy to see all the moves that Howie Roseman's been able to make for the Philadelphia Eagles. They re-signed Saquon Barkley, make him the highest paid running back in NFL history. Much deserved to Saquon. Congratulations on that, brother. And also, how about the contract for Zach Braun? I thought for sure he would be gone in NFL free agency. I thought for sure someone's going to pay that man way more money than the Eagles can. But the Eagles somehow make that contract happen. They sign him to a 3-year contract extension. That one, I believe, was about $34 million guaranteed on that $51 million contract for Zach Braun. And now, when you look at what Howie Roseman's been able to do, the guys he's been able to re-sign over like the last 3 years, crazy, dude. The Eagles are going to be just fine. The Eagles are definitely going to be contenders next year. Mr. Elephant wants to know, do you think Travis will retire? Travis isn't retiring this year. We know for sure he's coming back next season, but I guess it's just going to be a season-by-season thing right now with him on whether or not he retires. Sports Pro says, bro, they be all hurt. Hell yeah, dude, that's for sure. Motown Mitch, we're all over starting team on the IR, 22 players. Yeah, that was crazy, dude. The Lions and the 49ers, I think, had the most injuries in the NFL this season, and the Lions still made the playoffs. That was the crazy part. JSN will hit his prime soon. Hey, EJ, I think JSN's already in his prime. He led the team last year in receiving yards, so I really do think he's going to be legit going forward for Seattle. Who hates the Bucs, says Big Tiger. Hey, man, I love the Bucs. What you talking about? But welcome to the chat, Big Tiger. Thanks for hanging out here, man. Appreciate it. Biggest choke job, another named team to never win a playoff game in the last 22 on it. Hey, look, man, Motown Mitch, it was tough for the Lions in the playoffs, dude. It really was. Tough to watch. Tom Brady took less money, so he had more talent around him. Jamie, look, I understand that. But this isn't a Patriots dynasty situation like Tom Brady was in, okay? Tom Brady knew he had the greatest coach of all time in Bill Belichick. Tom Brady knew that he had an organization that was going to make the necessary moves to be able to stay competitive every single year. So Tom Brady didn't need to make the most money in the NFL at any point in his career. But I tell you what, he damn sure deserved it. He damn sure should have been a $50 million quarterback, even when he came to us. Even when he came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we got him for $25 million a year and gave him a huge signing bonus. Like, that was one hell of a deal for Tampa Bay, if you ask me. JSN's going to hit his prime tune, says EJ. Hell yeah, dude. I agree with that, man. Cap space doesn't exist if you're Howie. Jamie, I have to agree with you, dude. I mean, Howie Roseman somehow, some way knows how to get the cap situation worked out for his team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think they're going to be one of those big-name teams, really, not only in the draft, but possibly free agency, because what better team would you want to sign with than the reigning Super Bowl champions, right? So we'll see how many big-name free agents can be signed by the Eagles this offseason. Cormac wants to know, who do you think the Bucs will draft? You know, I've thought this over for a couple of weeks now. I'm actually trying to work on my my NFL draft predictions. Although I don't really like predicting like which player they'll pick. I sort of like predicting players that I think the teams will pick. So I'm working on that. I'm going to go division by division and sort of pick which positions I think are most needed and should be looked at the most in the NFL draft by all NFL teams. I'll go division by division, going over with that. But I think the Bucs really do need a pass rusher. And the defense really does need a little bit of pieces here and there. I think the secondary looks pretty good for the Bucs. So pass rusher or linebacker, I think is going to be their top needs as we head into the NFL draft. But you never know with the Bucs. Jared Goff solid against the Commanders. But yeah, dude, there was just too many injuries for the Lions, you know what I mean? Bucky Irving's going to be amazing next year, says EJ. Hell yeah, dude. Bucky Irving, to me, is going to be one of the top running backs in the NFL next year. I couldn't believe the numbers that he put up this season. I call him the human joystick, guys, because this guy knows how to get it moving, if you know what I mean. Lions won't have 22 guys on the IR next year. They're definitely going to be competitors next year. And you know what? They already have top 10 cap space right now. I really do think the Detroit Lions are still built to be competitors next season, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Excuse me, guys. We got me and the Duck. What's going on, man? Welcome to the chat. And we got Jeffrey Champion back into the chat. What's going on, man? Thanks for hanging out, bruh. He says, who do the Bucs pick up? Man, really interesting question. I think Khalil Mack is definitely a guy we could look at. Maybe Joey Bosa. Both of those guys could definitely help improve the defensive line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm personally also looking at the linebacker position. Maybe a guy that's like a mid-tier free agent veteran guy that could really come out and help out that linebacker room. I definitely could think do a lot of big things for the Bucs. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, though. But I appreciate your question, Jeffrey. Oh, man, EJ coming in hot. Jaden Daniels going to be the MVP next year. I mean, I guess if you're a betting man, that's a good bet to make, right? I don't see the Commanders falling off, nor do I see Daniels doing that as well. I think he definitely could be a serious MVP candidate next year, without a doubt. Woo, Jamie with some heat in the chat. Jamie, what the hell? Respectfully, I think the Lions need to move from Jared Goff. Why? Jamie, there is not a lot of good quarterbacks right now in the NFL. There's not a lot of good quarterbacks in this upcoming NFL draft either, so you got to hold on to Jared Goff, man. He's the best quarterback for that offense right now. I really do think that's a bad statement on your part, Jamie. But hey, you're an Eagles fan. You're trying to root for your team. I get it. When are the Bucs going to trade the Lions Vita Vea? Never! We are never trading Vita Vea. I hope he remains a Buccaneer for life. He deserves it, man. Vita Vea is a beast on the defensive line for the Bucs. That's for sure. Oh, look at that. Elephant said, I got the same jersey as you. Hell yeah, bro. Rocking the Mike Evans jersey. Mike Evans is my favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneers player. Fuck yeah, dude. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for your questions in the chat. I thought this would be a little bit difficult trying to go through the certain topics and everything here on Tim Reynolds Show, but just seeing you guys with all your questions is making this live stream a whole lot easier, so I appreciate you guys. Joey Bosa, I would be a little hesitant on because of his injury issues. Yeah, Jeffrey, I would have to agree on that. I don't like the injury issues with Joey Bosa over the last few years, but he could definitely improve that defensive line and that defensive line room if he's added on to our team. But yeah, the injuries are definitely a concern. Do you think Michael Penix will carry the Falcons this upcoming season? Caden Lee, I like your question, man. I really do think that was a very good pick, picking up Michael Penix Jr. for the Atlanta Falcons. My only problem with that, though, if I was an Atlanta Falcons fan, is that you signed Kirk Cousins to this huge contract, right? And you didn't do anything really to improve the defense that really needed improving. I mean, guys, I understand the Judon trade was pretty big for the Falcons last year. I thought it was actually a necessary trade. They needed to get a veteran pass rusher on that defensive line. They also got two of the best safeties in the league with Bates and Simmons teamed up together. So I actually thought when I seen them pick up those guys on defense that they were going to be serious contenders in the 2024 NFL season. But they really just weren't. And I think it was because of the defense. I think the defense was underwhelming at times. I don't think they played up to par that I would have thought, hey, Coach Raheem Morris would have kept them at, if you know what I mean, like kept them at that competitive level on defense, if you will. So I really do think Michael Penix can carry the team. They got a lot of weapons on that offense, but you got to protect him, so they got to get better along the offensive line. And in the draft or in free agency, they need a pass rusher. So bad, man. The Falcons haven't had a good pass rusher since like Abraham. And that was like back in 2012, dude. So good luck to your Atlanta Falcons this offseason there, Caden Lee. Appreciate your question, man. Let's see. Jamie says, every big game, golf chokes. I wouldn't say every big game, brother, but I can see your point, though, Jamie. Anthony says, yeah, your offense is all right for sure. You need a dog on defense like Mac or Bosa. Dude, Anthony, I totally agree with that. If we just get another good veteran pass rusher, I think, along that defensive line, we could be good. And, hey, that could mean bringing back Shaq Barrett. Maybe if Shaq Barrett comes back and he's on the defensive line throughout the whole season, maybe our defense looks a little bit different, a little bit better, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I don't see Michael Penix carrying the Falcons because he was overdrafted or overrated, I guess is what Jeffrey's saying. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Jeffrey. I think Michael Penix, it's still yet to be seen with him, but I do think he'll end up being a good NFL quarterback. Shout out to Corey, says, you have any dogs? Hell yeah, Corey, I got a beautiful dog. His name is Charlie Brown, and I love him to death. EJ with another good question. The O-line and wide receivers are what Seattle needs to prioritize because Geno Smith needs blocking if he's going to have a good season. Yeah, I mean, think about it, man. The Seattle Seahawks were literally one win away from being in the playoffs. So if you shore up that offensive line and that defense can play as consistently and as good as they did last year, let's not forget, there wasn't a lot of big names on that Seattle Seahawks defense last year, and somehow they were still a top 15 defense with new head coach McConnell. So I really do think that that's going to be the point here for Seattle is whether or not they can get offensive line help and if the defense can stay consistent. Bro, TB12 is always going to be better than Kermit. Hell yeah. Motown, Commanders versus Lions in the Super Bowl versus the Pats, NFC Championship versus the Niners. Yeah, Jamie, I think you fucked up that comment there. I heard Justin Simmons will not continue into 2026. Yeah, Caden, I don't think Simmons is coming back. I think Simmons will probably try to find a bigger contract on the open market. I think he should get one too, so we'll see what happens there. But thanks for hanging out in the chat, Caden. Lions offense was rocking against the Commanders, but the defense could not get a stop, so you can't blame Joff. I totally agree with you on that, Motown Mitch. The injuries on defense just ended up coming to be too much for them to overcome. And the Commanders, I mean, gosh, man. I mean, do you really think the Commanders were that good? Because when you ask me, when they faced the Eagles in that NFC Championship game, I think the Commanders got their asses whooped a little bit more than the fucking Lions did in the divisional round against the Commanders. I mean, the Eagles were in control of that game the whole entire time. I mean, These were probably two of the most boring NFC Championship and Super Bowl matchups that we've seen in a while. I mean, let's face facts. That Super Bowl wasn't close, and that NFC Championship game wasn't close at all. The Eagles dominated, man. I'm a Browns fan, says Jeffrey. So should I not crap about anyone's quarterback? No. Jeffrey, no. Anybody's quarterback right now is better on your team than who you have. I will tell you. As a matter of fact, the Browns should sign Gardner Minshew. Yeah, I said it. You should sign Gardner Minshew because at least he's a guy with NFL starting experience. He's definitely a good team guy. Definitely a good veteran off the field. Got no issues whatsoever. Look out for the Cleveland Browns this offseason, man. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, thank you, man. Just spiky hair day. You know, I didn't feel like combing it today. So thank you, Chill Bro. Appreciate you hanging out in the chat. EJ wants to know, do you think Devon Witherspoon will be a stud next year? I expect that. He's got the playmaking skills as a defensive back to be able to be one of the top guys, I think, in the NFL. And especially being on a defense with the Seattle Seahawks, I really do think that that's going to be a good guy, a good piece for your defense heading into next year. So, yeah, I do think he will be a stud. When's the last time the Lions lost to the Texans? I can't remember that one. Hey, it's been a long time, Motown Mitch, that's for sure. Panthers D and Dogwater need a new coach. O-line and pretty much an entire new team. Yeah, and the Panthers definitely have a lot of needs they're going to need for next year, that's for sure. Oh, Jeffrey, I like this, man. I want Kyle Trask. He didn't get a chance to play because of Tom Brady, and then the battle with Baker Mayfield didn't go the way he planned, so you never like to, you want to see him get a real chance. You know what? I think that's a very good, that's a very good option for the Cleveland Browns. I really do think you could bring in Kyle Trask. He can sort of help mentor a rookie quarterback that you guys draft. I definitely think Cleveland's drafting a quarterback, without a doubt. And have him compete. Kyle Trask could definitely, I think, sling the ball around if he gets a chance to. But whether or not he's an actual starter in this league, we'll have to wait and see with that. Julian Love's going to be a baller next year, says EJ. Yeah, I think that defense for Seattle is definitely looking good. A lot of young guns on that Seattle defense, that's for sure. And Corey says, I got 3 dogs, Mela, Boo Boo, and Piper. Love those names, man. Showing some love to your dogs. I love that in the chat, man. Thank you very much. The Bucs are not quite as good as the Lions. Well, Mr. Elephant, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But we beat the Lions last year early in the season, before they had any injuries, before anything. And guys, I want to remind the chat this as well when you're talking about my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers whooped the Philadelphia Eagles. We whooped them. And we beat the Detroit Lions without having our best day on offense. Our defense stepped up and won us that game against the Detroit Lions. So if you ask me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one, if not near the top in the NFC right now. I mean, I think they can compete with the Lions. Philly right now is on top of everybody. Philly is stacked right now, and they're going to be the champions, so they're going to have to be knocked off their pedestal. But I'm telling you right now, the Bucs are going to surprise a lot of people. And guys, you can say whatever you want, Bulldog. Whatever you want to say, man. I get it, dude. There's going to be a lot of haters when it comes to being a Bucs fan. I get it. But you don't win 4 straight division titles sucking. You don't, bro. So, gotta tell you guys, definitely disagree with the chat here. Bucs do not suck. That's for sure. Yeah, dude, Caden, I love that from you, man. Thank you for being not only a diehard Falcons fan, but also talking some truth. The Falcons and Bucs are always a competitive matchup, especially over the last few seasons with the Saints just falling off of a cliff. And we all know how bad the Panthers have been. So anytime that you see the Falcons and the Bucs go up against each other, it's a really, really good matchup to watch. So, oh, what's going on, Madden Clips? Shout out to you in the chat, dude. Hell yeah. Oh, Tyler Wilson in the chat says, my Saints are the best. Hey, Tough road ahead for the Saints as we head into the NFL offseason, man. That's for sure. Nope. This is a Mike Evans jersey, but dude, Bucs fan zero, I would love an Antoine Winfield Jr. jersey. I got to add that to my collection. That is for sure, man. Dude, guys, thank you so much, man, for hanging out here in the chat. Shout out to Macy. I hope I said that right, who said hi in the chat. Thank you very much. Let's see here. HC, are you the twin of Fried Chicken from Street Beef Scrapyard? HC, no, man, but hey, you're making me hungry, dude. I want some fried chicken. And yeah, I'm with Tim. Bucs are a solid game. Hell yeah, thank you, man. I really do believe that. Browns are tough. Hell yeah, I definitely agree with you on there, man. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Cleveland Browns do next year and this offseason, or I should say next season and this offseason, to be honest with you. Oh, and Madden is a Lions fan as well. Well, dude, good luck to your Lions this offseason, man. Got a bunch of big moves that they need to make as well. Bucs aren't washed up. Baker led them to the playoffs and still did good without Godwin. Yeah, let's not forget, guys, Baker Mayfield was third in the league this year in passing yards. He was top 5 this year in touchdown passes, okay? The Bucs were legitimately one of the best NFL teams this past season. I don't care what anybody says. So the Bucs got a bright future. I really do think it just depends on how we're able to, work with this salary cap that we got right now. That's a bit of an issue. Oh, dude, hell yeah, dude. I got a great Tom Brady jersey. Thank you, man. Yeah, hey, look, Bulldog, I definitely understand, man, but it was only by a field goal. And when you look at the way the Commanders dominated the Detroit Lions and then got their asses whooped against the Eagles, we were probably just a couple of plays and literally one mistake less away from beating the Commanders in that first round playoffs. I mean, guys, that reverse call by Liam Cohen, that was just such a bad call, and we ended up fumbling the ball on that play. They score a touchdown. So when you think about it, if we don't turn the ball over there and we don't give up the touchdown to the Commanders, we win that game, you know? I just really wish the defense could have shut them down at the very end of that game, not giving them a chance to kick the field goal to win it. But hey, you're totally right, though, Bulldog. We definitely got booted in the first round of the playoffs. But hey, I'm really looking forward to next season. And hey, making the playoffs is way better than not making the playoffs. So I will say that. Only issues I have with Baker Mayfield is the issue the Browns, with their stretcher games. He throws a lot of interceptions. Yeah, the one thing about Baker Mayfield that I will say I don't like is all the interceptions. But to me, he reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre. Brett Favre was a gunslinger. He wasn't afraid to throw the ball into tight windows or over the heads of defenders. And I will say there was also probably about, give or take, 6, maybe 7 interceptions last year that Baker Mayfield threw that weren't his fault. They were all tip passes and all the other kinds of stuff there. But I got to agree with you a little bit there, Jeffrey. I think Baker Mayfield can get a little bit better about not turning the ball over. So what's going on, Christopher? Hell yeah, dude. I really do think the Eagles have a legitimate chance to repeat this upcoming season. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with them. Jamie wants to know, who's your top 5 QBs in order? Woo! Damn, dude, in order? All right. I guess I got to start with number 1 and work my way down. Right now, I think the best quarterback in the league right now is Lamar Jackson, even though to me he seems like a regular season quarterback rather than an actual legitimately playoff winning quarterback, but he has won some playoff games, so I'll still put him at number 1. Josh Allen, obviously the reigning MVP, I'll put him at number 2 right now. As far as quarterback rankings, at 3rd, I got to put Joe Burrow, especially after the amazing season he had last year where he almost took the Bengals to the playoffs. So that would be my top 3 there. Man, so 4 or 5 is very debatable right now, I think, in the league. I want to just say, based off their record and what they've done with their team, not even doing stats or anything like that, I think I have to put Patrick Mahomes at 4 And then Jalen Hurts at 5. I know a lot of people don't think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in this league, but I just think he's a guy who can win. Like, he's a guy he can win with any team, I feel like. So that's my top 5 quarterbacks there, guys. So thanks for hanging out in the chat, though, man. All right, let's try to see if we can get to some more questions here. Bum, 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 bum. Dude, I know, man. Like, Jameis Winston actually played really good for the Cleveland Browns last year, but when you have him throwing the ball 50, 60 times, like, of course Jameis Winston's going to throw an interception or two. Like, that's what he does. That's why Cleveland sucked last year, guys. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't run the ball. Their defense took a step down and wasn't as good as they were the year before, and that's why Myles Garrett wants to be traded away from Cleveland. Bucks fan, you are totally right, brother. The offense, we just need to re-sign Chris Godwin. That's it. There is a possibility that we could see an extension, a contract extension worked out with right tackle Gedeke. But we'll have to see what happens with him. He was a little injury prone last season, but that was concussion. So I don't tend to put injury prone on somebody who deals with concussions. That's just a thing you're going to deal with in the NFL. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we definitely need to revamp the defense and do a little bit better. EJ wants to know, is Tyreek going to be traded next year? And is Stephon Diggs going to be retired or washed from the league? I don't think Stephon Diggs is washed. I just think he needs to be put in the right offense. You know, I would have said he would have re-signed with the Texans, but they just traded for Christian Kirk, and he's got a pretty high cap number. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what team actually takes a chance on Stephon Diggs, to be honest with you. Heck yeah, Corey, definitely excited about the WWE today. We got Friday Night SmackDown happening later on tonight, and Tim Reynolds Show will be live for my WWE play-by-play for Friday Night SmackDown, so make sure you guys check that out. And right now on my channel, guys, I just posted my WWE show review for the Elimination Chamber. It's been a very hectic and busy week here for me. I've also been a little under the weather, had to get some extra rest, so sorry that that's out a little bit later than I wanted to. I'm actually a little behind on a lot of content that I'm trying to make for you guys here on Tim Reynolds Show. So appreciate all the love, all the support, all the patience from you guys. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for your questions, man. Duval on air. Why are you wearing sunglasses, Tim? Dude, look cool, bro. I mean, I know I look cool without them, but we look cool with them. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. Just trying to look cool for the chat. You know what I mean? How long do you think Drake London's going to stay with the Birds, says Caden Lee. I don't know, Caden. If you ask me, Drake might be a guy you should look to move because you might be able to get a lot back for him in a trade. And, you know, you being a Falcons fan, Caden, I got to ask you this, man. What the hell is going on with Kyle Pitts? Like, why can the Falcons offense, the Falcons QBs, not get the ball to a guy that's tall, lengthy, strong, and can catch pretty much anything thrown near him? I don't understand. If Kyle Pitts was like with half of the other NFL offenses, he'd probably be one of the top 5, if not one of the top 10 tight ends in the league right now. Why do you feel as if Tank Dell wouldn't want to trade? Well, Tank Dell's not going to get a trade, EJ. I mean, he's going to be out all next season. He's got severe knee damage with an ACL tear, an MCL tear, and cartilage damage in that knee. So more than likely, Tank Dell's going to miss most, if not all, of next season with that injury. So, and quite frankly, Tank Dell hasn't done anything for him to warrant even having an opinion on whether or not what they do at the wide receiver position. Like, Tank Dell hasn't really proven himself to be a legitimate NFL wide receiver. He's got to stay on the field, and he's got to produce. He had a good rookie year, but the last 2 seasons, he's had injuries that have cost him pretty much the whole year. So we'll have to see what happens. What are your thoughts on Deion Sanders Jr.? I think he's underrated. And the only reason I say that is because I think he's been coached well enough and has enough knowledge from his father that when he gets into the NFL, I think being able to adapt to the NFL game and be a good defensive back, maybe won't be as hard for him as other guys coming into the league. So I'm really interested to see, though, where he gets drafted to. I think that's going to be the biggest question for him, is who drafts him. I know, what coaching staff does he get to learn from? What franchise is he helping build? I think that's going to be a bigger question for him going forward. That is, Deion Sanders Jr. So thank you for your question, though. Kyle and Cousins got similar problems, and they had expectations they couldn't meet. Yeah, Caden, you're right, and I really do think if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you should definitely be trying to trade Kirk Cousins, get some value back from him, and you definitely should be trying to trade either Drake London or tight end Kyle Pitts, because you're going to probably get a decent amount back for them in return, so I don't see why not. You know what I mean? Ooh, okay. Okay. Bucks fan 0 with his list of top 9 quarterbacks here. Wow, okay. Let's see. At number 1, he's got Josh Allen. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. Number 3, Joe Burrow. I have the same top 3, just in different orders. I really thought Lamar Jackson should have been the MVP last year. I mean, when you put up historic numbers that no one's ever put up in a single season as a quarterback, that makes you the MVP. I mean, what? Because all the experts said that Buffalo was going to suck, and somehow Josh Allen makes them into the playoffs as legitimate contenders? Like, no, bro. I thought that was so asinine that the sports writers, the people in sports media, couldn't believe how wrong they were about Buffalo, and that's why Josh Allen got the MVP, in my opinion. But it is what it is, you know? Patrick Mahomes at number 4, Jalen Hurts at number 5. So me and you pretty much have both of the same top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. But you put Jaden Daniels at number 6? Whoo! Man, I don't know about that, but maybe top 10, though. I will give you that. Baker Mayfield at number 7. Hell yeah. Maybe you should have put number 6 at number 6. You know what I'm saying? That would have been cool. Justin Herbert at number 8 and Matthew Stafford at number 9. Bucks fan 0. I got to tell you, man, I really do like your top 10 there. Caden says Geno is still thriving. Hell yeah, that's for sure. Kick Son, what's going on, man? In Siberia, what's going on, dude? Welcome to the chat, bro. I think Deion Sanders Jr. will go to the Saints. Hey, you know, Mr. Elephant, I think that's a very, very good situation for him to go to, and they definitely need secondary help in New Orleans. I do like that destination for Deion Sanders Jr. Patrick Mahomes is number 1. Just took his team to a 15-2 season, and yeah. But, Jeffrey, the reason why we don't put him at number 1 right now is because Patrick Mahomes has had 2 down years as far as stats are concerned, okay? I'll agree with you. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Absolutely. I think if anybody's starting their franchise right now, you're picking Patrick Mahomes with your first overall pick. I really believe that. But he's not as good as these other guys. Josh Allen carries his team on his back and puts up tremendous numbers, especially with his legs. Lamar Jackson, the guy is a, freak of nature, Lamar Jackson is. So that, to me, definitely 2 guys that are better than Patrick Mahomes. You got to say Joe Burrow's better because Joe Burrow has come back from injury not once but twice and been voted pretty much as an all-pro quarterback, putting up MVP-style numbers. So I definitely put those 3 quarterbacks ahead of Patrick Mahomes, that's for sure. Corey, thank you for watching all the videos and hitting that like button. Appreciate you, Corey. Fact check me, I'm not sure, says Jamie Walk, but I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts has the same to close to same amount of playoff wins. Hey, you might be right about that, Jamie. You might be right about that. I don't know if I can correct you on the exact stat, but I do know that Jalen Hurts has quite a bit of playoff wins under his belt. I want to say 6. Yeah, with that Super Bowl victory in this year's playoffs, when they made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, yeah, I think he's got 6 playoff wins. But remember, he's also got 2 early exits in the playoffs courteous of my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then he also lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl those years ago, too. So he's got 3 playoff losses as well. Oh, really? Jeffrey with an interesting comment that says, I think the Saints have somebody in Spencer Rattler. I'm not so sure about that, but Jeffrey, if you're able to improve that offensive line, which the Saints desperately need to do, then he probably could be a serious contender, maybe a legitimate starting quarterback in this league. But right now, if you're telling me right now, do I want Spencer Rattler as my starting quarterback if I was a Saints fan? No. I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers. I'd rather have Sam Darnold. Hell, I'd probably rather have Gardner Minshew right now as my starting quarterback. I definitely wouldn't want Derek Carr, but it actually looks like they might be keeping Derek Carr. So it's going to be really interesting to see what goes on with that there. Yeah, Caden. Whoo, Bijan is definitely going to be expensive, bro. That is for sure, dude. Thoughts on Aiden Hutchinson? For the 2025 season, hey, I think he's going to come back as a beast, man. I definitely think he could have walked out as the NFL sack leader this year if he didn't get injured. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I say at least 15 sacks next season for Hutchinson, as long as he can come back, you know, from that injury, which all reports, everything is saying right now that he should come back pretty strong from that injury. So hope you like that answer there, Mr. Relevant. QB wins is not a stat, it's a team stat. Hey, Motown Mitch, that's a very, very good point, especially in the NFL, brother. Just check, Jalen Hurts has 6 playoff wins and Goff has 5. So, Jamie, there you go. Goff already proving himself as a legitimate quarterback with 5 playoff wins. And Jalen Hurts, hey, we all know that's the reason why Jalen Hurts got paid. He got that huge contract extension a couple years ago. He's proved he could be a starting quarterback in this league. But he's better with his legs than he is with his arm. But I definitely like him as a starting quarterback. And Jeffrey Champion says, I thought Spencer Rattler showed some promise because of how terrible the offense was last year. And I'll give you that, Jeffrey. I definitely thought he played good against my Bucs in the first half of that game in New Orleans. I believe that was his either first or second start in the league. I'm not exactly sure. But he does show some signs of being able to be a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. Should Seattle stay with Geno or look for a young quarterback? Now, EJ, I think they should do both. I really do think they should do both. There's a couple of guys, I would say, in the middle rounds, maybe like 3rd, 4th, 5th round, that Seattle could look at as far as drafting a quarterback that could be pretty legitimate for them. Tyler Sotz, I get his name wrong, but he's climbing up draft boards right now. He was the starting quarterback at the University of Louisville last year. War number 9. His first name's Tyler. That could be a legitimate guy that I think the Seahawks look at. I think he could learn a lot being behind the bench or being on the bench there behind Geno Smith, and definitely could be what I think a good thing for Seattle. Also, maybe look at the Ohio State National Championship quarterback there too. Man, I'm drawing a blank, though, with his name. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the QB room for the Seattle Seahawks. Bucks fan says, Tim, guess what? I got back from my Tampa trio, and I bought a Mike Evans jersey and signed... Oh, dude, congratulations, Buck fan 0, dude. Man, Mike Evans jersey and a signed Baker Mayfield jersey? I'm jealous. That's for sure. I am jealous. All right. Caden wants to know, do you think Penix will be a top 15 QB? Caden, maybe in due time. You know, it's not... I don't think it's that hard in the NFL these days to be a top 15 quarterback because there's always going to be about 10 to 15 NFL teams that have a mediocre or bad quarterback in this league. At least that's what it feels like, right? So maybe not next season, but... maybe the season after that, we could see him at the end of the 2026 NFL season be able to be a legitimate top 15 quarterback, but we'll have to wait and see. Andrew, welcome to the chat, says, do you think the Bills win the Super Bowl? Andrew, look, I would love to see the Bills win a Super Bowl. I really would, but I can't bet on it. I can't predict it because the Bills are the only team that make it to the Super Bowl 4 straight times and lose. And lose. I mean, now we're running into the fact that they keep meeting the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game and can't get over the hump to get them beat. So right now, I just can't pick Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. Question of the day. Who will draft Cam Ward? Good question, EJ. If I had to go with anybody, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I think there's no way that Cleveland is not drafting a quarterback in this upcoming draft. So I personally, if I was to make a mock draft, which I don't like doing because they're just ridiculous in the first place, but if I was to do a mock draft, I would have Cam Ward going second overall to the Cleveland Browns because I think the Tennessee Titans are either going to roll with Travis Hunter or the pass rusher out of Penn State, Allure or something. I know probably butchered his name there, but the guy right now they have is the number 1 overall prospect. He's a defensive lineman for Penn State, really good pass rusher. I think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. Oh, shout out Barry Sports in the chat. What's going on, man? Cam Ward needs to be less chill. Hell yeah, dude. Falcons need to trade Tyler Algier and get a kicker. Man, you don't like your kicker? I think Winway Koo has actually been one of the better kickers in the league for the Atlanta Falcons. All right, and Jeffrey Champion says Seattle to trade for Anthony Richardson. Let him sit and watch Geno for a year or two. I think the Colts would want too much for Anthony Richardson. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are going to pay that much for a guy who might not even be your starting quarterback. Real question of the day is, how the heck does Cam Ward move up to the number 1 quarterback in the draft? Well, Cam Ward put up numbers that definitely make him the number 1 quarterback in this draft to me. Plus, too many people are just questioning Sanders' professionalism or how he's going to be off the field, if he's going to be a good leader. So with all these questions that people aren't asking about Cam Ward, that's why Cam Ward is going to jump Sanders to be the number 1 overall quarterback in this draft. Now, that's also because this is not a strong quarterback draft. I think, and to get back, Ohio State's quarterback, Will Howard, that's who I was trying to picture. I think he might be pretty good of a late round pick for anybody who's looking for a quarterback, especially maybe for the Seattle Seahawks. But this quarterback draft, the quarterback selection in this draft is not going to be very good. So it's going to be really interesting to see what teams do in the offseason because of that. Because there's a lot of quarterback needy NFL teams out there. You know what I mean? Jamie wants to know, do the Giants take Jackson Dart? Yeah, I think there's a legitimate good possibility that could happen. I've heard rumors that right now the Giants are looking at veteran quarterbacks right now in the league rather than maybe drafting one. But maybe if you're the Giants, you could possibly trade back, acquire some more draft capital, and then be able to draft Jackson Dart in the middle to late first round. I think that's probably a good selection for them. Yo, what's up, Ninja Crystal? Thanks for hanging out in the chat, man. You said, what's good? Plus, I'm a Bucks fan. Hell yeah. Anytime we can get some Bucks fans in the chat, let's go. Oh, Jeffrey says, Milroe is concerning to me. I watched him throw at the combine. I didn't like what I saw. Well, we always can't really judge how a quarterback's going to be at the combine. I will be the first one to say that. I think Milroe has a chance in this new NFL to be a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. The way he's able to make plays with his legs is a big deal, and that's going to bode well for him in the NFL. But I think his best bet is to go somewhere where he can learn behind somebody for at least a season or two, and then hopefully be able to get his football intellect up there, up to par with the starting NFL quarterback, you know? He's got to make better decisions in the pocket. I don't think he stays in the pocket as much as he should and trust his protection, but when you are a mobile quarterback, I guess it's hard to do that, you know what I mean? All right, EJ wants to know, let's talk running backs. Who will be studs next year? Well, I think Austin Eckler for the Washington Commanders is definitely a guy to watch out for. I think he'll be able to bounce back with the Commanders. Watch out for Bucky Irving for the Bucks. He is definitely going to be a stud next season. I can't wait to see him. I also like Kenneth Walker there for Seattle. I think he really has a good chance of being one of the top running backs in the league next year. But those are just a handful for you guys. And Jeffrey Champion says, I think Sanders is a better prospect, better fundamentals than Cam Ward. Nah, I think Cam Ward definitely improved his fundamentals at Miami than the way he was playing when he was at Washington State University. So we'll see how that plays out, though, right? If Evans gets too expensive, where do you think he goes? He will retire. Yes, I don't think Mike Evans is going to play for any other NFL team but the Bucks. I really do think that. I really do believe that in my heart of hearts. I'm a diehard Bucks fan and definitely a diehard Mike Evans fan. He's probably the greatest Buccaneer of all time. You know, right up there with Leroy Selman. In my opinion, you have other Buccaneer greats that he's right up there with, like John Lynch, Mike Allstott, Rondé Barber, Derek Brooks. You know, all those guys, man. I think he's one of the best Buccaneers of all time. All right, so let's see. I think the Panthers are going to have a rebuild next year. Well, Elephant, they've already been in a rebuild for a few years now, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. And is Josh Allen the best? I mean, Andrew, I would say he's definitely one of the best. I didn't think he deserved the MVP last year, but is Josh Allen one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? Abso-freaking-lutely. Nick Chubb, I think he's washed, so don't expect him to come back or do anything. I disagree with you there, Jeffrey. I am rooting for Nick Chubb. That guy was a beast before he got hurt. And, excuse me, let's also not forget, Jeffrey, Nick Chubb is a guy who's come back from multiple injuries and became a stud again. So if there's one guy who can overcome an injury as severe as his and become a stud once again, it is Nick Chubb. I really do believe that. And EJ says, I think the Raiders need a running back. Abso-freaking-lutely they do. They need a whole new offense if you're the Raiders. But hey, they started out with a good move already. Two-year contract worth $11 million. And with that contract, that could definitely help improve that offensive line for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, guys, so get your questions in now because we're fixing to hop off here on this Friday football talk. We're almost to 5 o'clock. I got to get my WWE live play-by-play set up for Friday Night SmackDown. And still got to go get dinner ready, get some stuff done around the house. So appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out here on Tim Reynolds Show. Please make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And wow, guys, we've already reached 20 likes on this live stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for making Tim Reynolds Show one of the best, entertaining, and one of the most electrifying sports entertainment channels on all of YouTube. It's Tim Reynolds Show, so let's fucking go. So, all right, guys, let's see if we can get some last-minute questions answered for you guys. Caden wants to know, who's the Bucs backup quarterback? I'm not sure right now. Gardner Minshew might be a guy that we look at maybe bringing in to be a good veteran backup, especially because when Baker Mayfield got hurt last year, I think that was one of the most, like nightmare scenarios for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, you want a good veteran backup quarterback if you can get one if you're the Bucs. Let's go, SmackDown, says Madden. Hell yeah. Jeffrey wants to know, who do you think will pick up Tyler Lockett? It's too early to tell right now, Jeffrey, but if I had to just go with a guess right off the top of my head, I would say the Arizona Cardinals could definitely be a legitimate team. They're in the same division, and they know how good Tyler Lockett can be. I think Tyler Lockett with Kyler Murray would be a great combination for them in that division, and maybe the Chargers. The Chargers really need a wide receiver help right now, and he would probably fit really, really well with them, but Vlad McConkey is also sort of a Tyler Lockett type player. You know, he's short, catches a lot of balls out of the slot. So maybe not the best fit for him there, but I do know the Chargers are in much need of some wide receiver help. Hell Jeffrey, can't wait for SmackDown. Can't wait for you guys to come hang out with me on Tim Reynolds Show and hang out with you. So thank you guys so much, man. It's going to be awesome to check that out. All right, the Bucks are good, says Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. And don't mind my language, but Devontae Adams trade with EJ. I am telling you what, man. I understand he didn't want to stay with the Raiders, but if you're the Jets, why would you trade a third-round pick for this guy and then not keep him on the team? Like, Devontae Adams is clearly like a top 10 wide receiver in the league right now, and whoever you bring in at quarterback would want to play with Devontae Adams. So I'm just really glad I'm not a Jets fan. I'll tell you that, because that was one of the stupidest moves of this offseason. You just let Devontae Adams go, no trade or nothing with nobody? I just thought that was ridiculous. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out here on Tim Reynolds Show. We're going to hop off here. Got to get ready for that WWE live play-by-play here on Tim Reynolds Show for Friday Night SmackDown. And guys, don't forget to check out my WWE show review that will be right after the WWE SmackDown. I'm starting to go live now with my WWE show reviews, so that way I can get more interactions with you guys in the chat, maybe answer some more questions about what happened on Friday Night SmackDown with you guys, and also just trying to get more subscribers, more views, and more people on this amazing YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for hanging out here on Tim Reynolds Show. Peace out, everybody. Hope you guys have a great day. And please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to Tim Reynolds Show and check out my content. And guys, leave me some comments if you guys do check out anything. I would love to be able to reply to you guys and bring you into the family that is Tim Reynolds Show. Let's fucking go. And EJ, we will be streaming at 8 o'clock tonight for WWE Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you guys so much for hanging out here on this Football Friday talk here on Tim Reynolds Show. Thank you guys so much. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you guys soon.